I'd just like to read something before we begin. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Town Council and, where possible, live streamed on YouTube. Please note that the recording device is sensitive and that the live stream may be recorded by third parties, so do not say anything you do not want recorded. If necessary, I will direct all recording in the room and the live stream to be stopped, but generally we want to avoid doing that, so we'll normally record everything except any item taken in closed session. Members of the public may also make their own recordings, but must follow our rules for doing so, including stopping recording when required. Whilst we do not accept anonymous speaking at the public forum, members of the public who wish to speak but do not want their name published must please indicate this before saying your piece. Thank you. Okay, so welcome everybody. Item 1 on the agenda is our apologies for absence.
Chair, we have apologies from Mayor Quinn Cox and Councillor Bruce Davison. Thank
you. Next up, we have declaration of interest and request for dispensations. This is for members to declare any interest they have on any items on the agenda and to agree any dispensations to stay. As you will all know, we are going to be voting on the co-option to the vacancy, the casual vacancy. So several of us may well know some of the people who are standing for that seat. And I've been advised that it would be great if everybody could just say, we probably all know them because obviously, you know, we're a small town, but if you know anybody who's standing, if you could just declare that, that would be fantastic. Yeah, okay.
Does anyone not know them?
Does everybody know people? Raise your hand if you don't know anyone.
Right,
okay.
You need to write down.
Fine. Keep your hand up so... Can you do that again?
It's not.
Is this not?
Yeah, it is not.
Not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Are there any hands up this side?
No.
No. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so if we could have a vote on whether we can all have the dispensation to still take part in the discussion and vote on the casual vacancy. And can I have a proposer? Tony? And a seconder? Dave? Thank you. All those in favour? Okay, does anybody have any other interests, be they disposable, pecuniary, other registerable or non-registerable interests? No? Excellent. Okay then, can we go to the minutes of the previous Town Council held on the 28th of July? Do we have any items here? Does anybody have any comments on... Okay, can we have a proposer that the minutes are a true record? Councillor Liz Smith. And a seconder? Councillor Mary Martin.
Show of hands.
Show of hands, please.
Where did you do matters?
Yeah.
Oh no, we get to matters after.
Oh, we're going to do casual vacancy first. Okay. So item 4, Colin, do you want to introduce this?
Yes, Chair. So we have 3 people who have put their names forward. We have Mr. Damien Griffiths, Mrs. Tina Scott and Mr. James Texera have all put their names forward. And they have shown that they are qualified to stand as councillors.
Okay, excellent. Well...
Any discussion? People?
Yeah. Does anybody have any comments they would like to make? Councillor Smith?
I've known James Shearer for a number of years now. We both sit on the St Felix Parish Council at Every Church. He's been a very good member of that committee. He lives in the town and he works in the town. He gets very involved in the local events that go on. I know that he has this previous experience of being on a town council where he used to live, so I think James ticked all the boxes for me with the experienced sort of person that we need on the town council, and especially with his financial brain.
Thank you. Councillor Crooks?
A question really, are you going to invite the candidates to address the whole council if they so wish?
Are the candidates, there's 2 candidates on here. I know one candidate can't make it. If the candidates aren't here, they can't.
We've got no candidates?
No one's putting their hand up to say
Don't
that.
worry.
Oh, sorry. You are,
I'm James Teixeira.
okay, and...
Daily Griffiths.
All right, so we have got 2. They're just a bit shy at the moment. We'll soon hold that out. So yes, if they want to speak, obviously Mrs Scott isn't here, so she can't speak.
Yeah. So that's a question, are you?
I mean, would either of you like to say anything? Don't feel that you have to. It wasn't, you know, it's not part of the agenda that you need to speak, but if you would like to say anything. No? Okay.
I'll let you go first. Yeah, sure. So my name is James Teixeira. Nothing too much to add to the application that I put in. I guess an obvious question for all of you would be, if you've lived here this long, why have you never expressed an interest to work for the council before? Simply that I, until February this year, had a job that had a lot of international travel, so it wasn't really a responsible thing to do to commit myself too thinly. I'm now entirely UK based. I do have previous experience serving on the council. I'm very keen to do a bit more for the town and to get a bit more involved. Thank you.
Hello, hi, I'm Damien Griffiths. I might know a couple of you, but not many. I'm a nurse. I work from home, so resident in the town. I've been here for about 6 years, previously on Croydon Road, and now we've just moved from the Persimmon Estate to Redrow. I haven't really prepared anything this evening. My application might have been slightly light, actually. I was quite close to the deadline. Yeah, I probably had regular communication with the council when I lived on Croydon Road with some local issues. While living on the Persimmon Estate, I've been actively involved in things like litter picking and speaking up for the community. And I have raised some inquiries with the council around tree planting, those sorts of things. So nature is very close to my heart, as are all local issues that are affecting us all in this day and age. Yeah, so that's me, a local person. I work technically for Addenbrooke's, but work across the whole of the east of England in a more strategic role as the lead nurse for surgery. I don't know if I'm allowed to declare that, sorry if I did. Yeah, so that's given me a lot of cross kind of ICB working, integrated care board at a strategic level. Yeah, it's nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments? Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I just wanted to say what a terrific set of candidates that we have. They're really fantastic CVs, and it's really hard to choose between any of you, to be fair. You've all contributed hugely to the town and show great potential in doing so. So I'd just like to thank you for standing. It's really good. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd just like to clarify that the reason that one of the candidates isn't here is because it's her daughter's birthday. So it's not because she didn't want to turn up, but it's because it's a very big birthday for her daughter. So unfortunately they had long-standing plans, and that's why she couldn't be here. Councillor Mason?
Yeah, just I'd like to add that I'm always impressed when people come forward wanting to serve their community, so I'd like to thank everybody for applying. Out of respect to Miss Scott, who has applied at Carlton, it's quite remarkable what she's done opening up a sunflower centre, which, whether she's successful or not tonight deserves recognition. And yeah, I'm always impressed by people showing a little bit of civic energy and wanting to do with it, so thank you.
Anyone else have any comments? No?
Just remind people of the process.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, councillors, there's only votes for, and you have one vote to cast for the person who you think would be the best. Unfortunately, as has been said, the calibre is really, really high. If it was Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman stood here, there's still only one space. There's no reflection on people's ability or sensibility. It just is only one space. We'll read out the names in alphabetical order and a show of hands for each, and that is your vote in the first round. And then whoever has, if somebody has the majority vote in the first place, so more than 50%, then they are co-opted. If nobody achieves more than 50%, then the person who unfortunately gets the least will be no longer considered, and there'll be a second vote where it will be a straight majority of who gets the most votes in favour. There is no vote against. It's just the same as in an election. You don't get to tick and cross. You only get to choose who you want, not who you don't want. So you're only going to show your hand if you wish to vote for somebody. And of course, there is no mandatory voting. If you want to abstain, that's entirely up to you. It will be still done on the majority of people who vote. So, Chair, do you want to take the first person?
Yes, so first of all, can I see all those in favour for Damien Griffiths?
6. Okay. The next one is Tina Scott.
All those in favour for Tina Scott?
2. And then we have...
All those in favour for James Texera?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's everyone voted. So, on that result, then Mrs. Scott, sadly, she steps away now, but we thank her for her interest. And there's a second vote now between Mr. Griffiths and Mr. Texera.
Okay, so now between those two, can I see all those in favour for Damien Griffiths?
6.
And all those in favour for James Texera?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You voted no, so. Okay. In that case, the Mr. Texera is successfully appointed. Obviously, our thanks go to Mr. Griffiths for his interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Texera, if you want to come up.
Thank you.
Those are all papers for you to do that.
Thank you very much.
Chair, I can confirm that Councillor Texera has signed his declaration of office and can now take part in the rest of the meeting.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we're just going to change something around on the agenda a little bit because we have Vicky here from Home Start. So item 10, we're going to move to with that now, just so we don't hold on to Vicky for too long and she has somewhere to be. So that is a presentation by Vicky on Home Start.
Stand here, is that kind of
Yeah.
for everybody? Yeah. Well, thank you for having us. So I'm Vicky, I'm one of the family coordinators over at Home Start in Suffolk. Home Start in Suffolk is a well-established family support charity. We've been providing practical and emotional support to families via a volunteer model for the last 26 years. We are a county-wide service supporting families where there's at least one child under the age of 12 in their family. Families are referred to us by a wide range of professionals that we build really good working relationships with out in the communities, so whether that's statutory services, voluntary services. We see lots of social workers, health visitors, nurses within mental health teams referring families over to us for support. Families can also self-refer, so they can get in contact with us for support themselves. And because of that kind of multi-agency work and those working relationships we have, we do get a huge number of families referred for support. So the families are often struggling with their mental health, so we see 70% of our families, the referrals are because of parental mental health. There might be some physical health needs, physical long-term illness or disability that's having an impact on parenting. 53% of our families are feeling isolated, so whether that's because they haven't got a local network, they're not feeling connected in their communities. Some have fled domestic abusive relationships, so they've had to move out to a new county, to a new town, and having to sort of start and find their own support network there. We have 32% of our families come to us with children with additional needs. And families might be struggling with sort of the more parenting tasks, so managing behaviours, managing routines. Sometimes it's more house routines as well, managing the household. Finances we know is a difficult thing for our families at the moment with the rising cost of living, and some families are living in inadequate housing. So families are coming to us in a very stressed, vulnerable time, feeling very overwhelmed, and often they don't present with just one of those issues. They're facing about 3 of those different scenarios. So actually the impact is massive on them. So we can provide support in a number of different ways. We have group support, specifically in Haverhill. We facilitated a group which was a 10-week programme for mums who had just had new babies, struggling with their mental health, struggling with that sense of isolation, and we've got another one of those groups starting up in January. We've also facilitated some cooking workshops, so giving families some real practical skills and opportunities to be able to try out new recipes, new healthy recipes that they can then put in place at home. The volunteers help support us with those facilitating those groups, and we do have some online groups as well for families to be able to access. Then we have our one-to-one support, so that's where volunteers are assigned to an individual family, and they will support that family for a period of time, usually for around 6 months. And they'll be providing that on a weekly basis, so that might be in the form of a telephone call, or it could be actually visiting that family in the home, so offering that more sort of practical support. So we become a professional friend for our families, someone that they can listen to, somebody for their families to talk about what they're struggling, and the volunteers can empower those families, help to build their confidence, help them to be more resilient. So they might do some practical things such as helping them with budgeting, helping them with cooking, providing play ideas, things that they can do with their children. Actually helping families get out and access community resources, because sometimes families are feeling so anxious that they're not actually leaving the family home, so helping those parents be able to access what's available in the local area. Volunteers can be really positive role models for families and help families see the positives and not to always feel quite so overwhelmed. We can help with sort of signposting families to other services in the local areas as well. Due to the wide breadth of issues that our families kind of face, actually we need a real wealth of experience within our volunteer team, so we need more volunteers to be able to support the needs of our families. The families themselves greatly benefit from the support they receive from the volunteers. We see that families are feeling better equipped to cope with the difficult situations they're in. They're feeling more resilient, they're feeling more confident. They've perhaps been able to establish routines that have made them less overwhelmed. They've been able to build connections within their communities, so they're no longer feeling quite so alone. They felt that their feelings have been acknowledged, they felt validated, and that sort of listening ear has proven to be really beneficial for them. And just to give you kind of a little quote from one of our families, I hope you know the difference you made to our family. We're in such a different place now to when you started visiting. Knowing I had the visits to look forward to really kept me going and made a really isolated time that bit easier. We'll miss you, but glad someone else can make the most of your support now that I'm back on my feet. I won't ever forget your kindness. And as well as kind of the families benefiting from the support, actually the volunteers themselves benefit too. The volunteers report that supporting families builds their confidence, it improves their mental well-being and gives them opportunities to learn new skills, to meet other volunteers in their local community as well. For volunteers who've perhaps recently retired or have had children that have returned to school, it's given them a new purpose. We've seen a kind of a cohort of volunteers also coming to us as they want to sort of change careers. They want to get some practical experience and some new skills working and supporting families to then be able to change careers or to go back into work themselves. Hopefully this demonstrates kind of the impact that our service has on both kind of families and volunteers within the local communities. We do have a robust recruitment process for our volunteers. So our volunteers will initially attend a preparation course. We offer 5 sessions online with additional one-to-one time with those volunteers before they're matched to a family for any support. Volunteers who want to do home visiting will also get an additional day training before they're placed with a family. And that training covers many things, the ethos of Home Start, the importance of boundaries to keep volunteers safe when they're visiting families and supporting families, safeguarding children and adults, and the expectations that we have on them as volunteers, but also to give them the knowledge of what we're able to do to support them. So once they're trained, volunteers are able to access ongoing training. They're provided with regular supervision and opportunities to come together for that peer support, ensuring that our volunteers feel part of a team and that they can build connections with local volunteers. So as I mentioned, we regularly receive referrals for families in Haverhill. We've received 24 just this year so far. We therefore need more volunteers to meet this ongoing demand. Recruiting volunteers is difficult at present. There's a lot of pressure on people to increase their working hours or to return to work due to increase in the cost of living. But we've seen that by being able to access events in the community, by talking with people, we've been able to have that opportunity to be face-to-face and actually be able to talk about the volunteering opportunities that we hold. And that's why we'd like to be able to increase the hours of our volunteer recruitment coordinator by a third to ensure that more time can be spent specifically attending more events in the community, that we can have a bigger presence online and generally build more networks locally, such as with the library, the Chalkstone Centre, the Link Community Hub, just to name a few in Haverhill area. We want to continue to raise the profile of Home Start in Haverhill and volunteering opportunities within our organisation. We know that by increasing the volunteers in the Haverhill area, this will help us to be able to meet the ever-increasing needs of families that are being referred to us, and ultimately improving both the lives of volunteers and families, so a number of people kind of in the local community.
Thank you very much. We do have a grant application from Home Start, but I think we're going to deal with that in its rightful place after the financial matters. So I don't know if you want to stay or not, Vicky. We appreciate that that great presentation. Thank you. But if you don't want to wait around, don't feel that you have to. But obviously you're welcome to stay. Yes, of course. Yeah. Councillor Hanlon.
Right, yeah. Thanks very much. It seems you really need this money. You said that you're increasing it by the hours by a third. Can you sort of have any idea of what sort of hours they will do, and what, how many days a week?
Yes, that would be an extra 4 hours to what they're already doing. So they're doing 12 hours, so we'd raise it to 16. And we've worked out that we can then do an extra at least 4 events kind of in Haverhill specifically, to then be able to have the opportunity to chat with more people to raise that profile and hopefully recruit some more volunteers.
How many do you, sorry Chair, can I?
Yeah, carry on.
How many do you hope to sort of volunteers to get?
Well, we'd like to get at least an interest of 10 and hopefully have 2 kind of trained volunteers by the end of that. Sometimes we need several opportunities to speak with volunteers, so we might actually have a conversation, but it might take 6 months or a year before they're actually fully trained, ready to volunteer with us. We often find that we need lots of opportunities to kind of speak to people about volunteering before they've got that full commitment to be able to kind of take the work.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Very good. You mentioned a certain number of families. I think you said 24 that you got to. Are you able to manage that at the moment? I mean, are you over capacity, and if so, where do these people go if you can't help them? Is there any?
So often we can tweak the support support that we offer them. So it may be that they're offered an online group or they're offered telephone support. So if we haven't got somebody that's able to go into that home, then we'll look at ways that we can offer something. So if we have a referral for home visiting support and we haven't got capacity at that point, we'll look at trying to find a way to provide some telephone support in the interim.
And you liaise with other, I mean there are other people in town which may do something that we cross over there. Do you liaise with those?
We do link up with a lot of other agencies within the Haverhill area and across Suffolk to ensure, and it's about ensuring that the right support is in place for the families as well. So it's whether or not it's that volunteer or actually if there's a better service that is better placed to provide that support.
So do you go out into the community or they come to, have you got a help? You actually will be in the staff view, will you?
We go out to families, so we meet them in their homes, and yeah, we go out to families. When we run our groups, we often run those in the family hubs, so then the families will come to us. We've got a good relationship with the Cartwheels Family Hub here in Haverhill. Any other questions? No?
Okay, thanks so much. Okay then, back to item 5, to note the progress of actions arising from the minutes that are not covered by this agenda. So 5A, we have the CP performance in Haverhill. Councillor Hanlon, have you got an update for us on that?
Yeah, well, I haven't got an update. I sent an email to everyone on 23rd of September, hoping that that's the explanation so far. It's just that I'll run through it very quickly. No, I won't say everything that's on there, but it was agreed to proceed with obtaining additional funding to recruit and deploy 2 additional CEOs dedicated to Haverhill and the surrounding area. Recruitment for these 2 additional posts is underway with the funding approved on the 4th of September with the new hub operational by the end of October. Now the new hub, they hope to have in Haverhill. We agreed in the item period to focus more resources for existing enforcement team to Haverhill with greater focus on the High Street. The officers also, this is the West Suffolk officers, also agreed with their colleagues in corporate property to utilise an area within Haverhill House to set up a satellite base. And the other 2 are in Bury and Newmarket. That's already been there for quite a number of years. And these which 2 additional CEOs will be based. This saves the extra time of driving back and forth to Newmarket, which they have to do, because that takes hours, takes up the hours that they do, driving backwards and forwards to Newmarket. So having them in Haverhill will give them extra hours to stay in Haverhill. Any
Great,
comments at all?
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Hanlon. Anyone got any questions for Pat? Councillor Babs?
Well, you know my views on this. It's taken them 6 years to realise that they need a base in this town. And I find that extraordinarily disrespectful to this town. They also say about Haverhill House, staff of the depot are saying, well, we offered it them space in that place. They're open 7 days a week 6 years ago. And they refused to move there. They said, no, we want to be based in Newmarket. They say they're incorporating extra staff. No, they're not. They're actually just going back to what they should have. You saw the stats I sent out yesterday. You know, in the last 12 months, I don't know what their attendance figures are, but their number of tickets issued is down by 25% in Haverhill, but only less than, just under over 1% in Bury. And Newmarket is also 25% down. That shows that they haven't had the staff. The local picked staff themselves say they haven't had the staff. You only have to talk to them. I'm just finding their management have been very lax in not managing this process very well. Yes, they may have given out more tickets recently, but I'll be interested to see what they're like in 12 months' time when I get the next set of stats as to whether they've actually done the same performance the whole time. Thank you.
Councillor Crooks.
Yeah, this sounds very good, Pat. It's welcome news. Is there a timeline at all? Will we have this satellite up up and running before Christmas, do we know?
Yeah, they did say, sorry, Chair, can I come back to answer that?
Please, yeah.
Yeah, they did say that they would do it around the end of October.
That's good, thank you.
Moving now.
Councillor Hannon, did you have...
Yeah, it's just that I fully agree with what Councillor Burns said, and that's why I arranged a meeting to get it all going. The portfolio holder, as you know, has only been in situ a year, just over a year. He thought it was ridiculous, it's absolutely stupid, just having it in Newmarket and various neighbourhoods, and we shouldn't have one here, and going backwards and forward. And he sort of ordered who's new as well, the officer was new, he ordered his new officer to sort of do something about it, and this is what he's come up with.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No? Okay, then item 5B, can I ask the clerk to...
Well, that was circulated with the papers.
So nothing to
No,
add?
that was all, that was the task.
Great. Okay, fantastic. And then item C, HMOs in Haverhill. Have we got something from Councillor Brown on that?
Yeah, we had quite an informative meeting with West Suffolk officers. Sanderson, you were again part of that meeting. I still don't believe that they understand or know how many HMOs there are in Haverhill. They're predominantly on Clarence and Chilston estates. They seem to go after 3-bedroom houses, trying to turn them into 4. Got concerns around gas and electricity testing if that's been there's worrying statistics around things like if you live in an HMO, you're 6 times more likely to die in a house fire. That's the sort of issues that potentially come across. Also, minimum space standards being adhered to. So really what we would say is that we would like all HMOs, no matter how many people are going into them, to have planning permission, because Haverhill has been unfairly blighted with HMOs because we've got predominantly smaller houses and they tend to be more affordable. So the type of landlords that are trying to buy up smaller houses to make a quick profit is more inclined to come in. And also that being that it also pushes up the price of rental for families. There's a lack of availability of cheap rented houses for families and other people. But, the main thing behind this is that really what we're asking for is we need high quality single person accommodation. That's what we really need in the town. Not just keep pushing people into family houses, people from who knows where, with potential alcohol, drug issues. It has a huge knock-on effect to our estates. So it's something that we're trying to push for is basically, and it can be done, is that all HMOs require planning. It's something that hopefully we can achieve. And obviously, we were told that there's another officer being employed in the near future to carry out more checks. They say they've got different algorithms and different ways of trying to find out where places are potential HMOs, and we will check. But I'm still, I don't think anyone here who attended the meeting is still 100% reassured that that's the case. So we're on it, and it's something we'll just keep battling on with.
Thank you. Councillor Mason?
Thank you. I've received a number of correspondence from residents who've been concerned about HMOs popping up around Haverhill. I mentioned it, one on Hamlet Road to West Suffolk Council, and it was Serco, and me mentioning it to them was the first that we knew about it. I think there's a distinct lack of oversight regarding HMOs. I think that's something that we're looking to bring to the next council at West Suffolk. I totally agree, and thank you, Councillor Brown, for that feedback.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you. I mean, with HMOs, we rely a lot of time on public intelligence. You know, it's not always obvious to spot unless, you know, we can't be everywhere. Police can't be everywhere. We rely on the public to inform us, and like Councillor Mason, I've had a couple of instances recently where residents have expressed concerns, and to their credit, the officers have been around there within a couple of days just to investigate, and very often it's perfectly innocent. The thing around having planning permission on HMOs, I mean, you don't build HMOs. People buy a house and turn them into HMOs, so I don't know how you would get around with that. You talked about we need sort of like a decent one-bedroom houses, bed, flats, or whatever. We've got the opportunity in above some of the shops in the high street where people apply to convert these rooms into flats, and we object because there's no parking. I think sometimes we've got to realise that not everybody drives. You know, we want to encourage people not to drive all the time, especially if they're living in the town centre. It's a difficult one to identify, that's all I say, without people telling us in the first place.
Thank you. Councillor Hanlon.
Yeah, we've had one just recently on the Chalkston estate, well not one, on the Chalkston area. Councillor Roach, who's the Suffolk County Councillor for the Chalkston area, him and I have been having objections from people around that area because of parking. Because HMOs, if you have 3 or 4, is it 3? What's the limit? Without five. Yeah, if you have 4, for instance, in there, which a lot of them have got 4, there's 4 cars. It can be 4 cars. So it's a massive, massive problem, especially on the Chalkston, getting car parking places. You know, and if people have got garages, can't get into their garages, for instance. So it's a massive problem. I agree with Councillor Brown that we should, you know, try and do something. And I think at the end of the day, though, it comes from government. They're the ones who decide to lower the limit from 5 to down to 0. You know, they're the ones. I think they're the sort of people. Perhaps we can get onto the NV to try and lower that down, so that, you know, they have to apply for planning permission. Is it over 5? I've got that right or wrong?
No.
Something like
Register.
that.
Register it.
That's a register, yeah. But that register then should be lowered to 0 as far as I'm concerned. So perhaps we need to get onto the MP and ask him to try and get the government to change it. Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I too attended the meeting with Councillor Brown. This has been a worry of mine for quite some time. I think it was Councillor Smith that said it's not obvious, you know, where they are, but it's very obvious if you are unfortunate enough to live in the vicinity of some of those places. And like Councillor, I think we were shown some place on Woodcock Close, I think that was right, Tony, a HMO in the most appalling condition. The ceilings had come down, the doors were hanging off. It was just utterly shocking to think that people were actually being housed and living in those conditions. And I do believe that there should be a register of all, not just when it gets to 5, they should be registered. And they're popping up all over the place, particularly on the Chalkston. Excuse me. I know of a case in, I think it's Linton Place. There are 3 bedrooms, 3-bedroom house. It is now, excuse me, a 5-bedroom house because the living room has been divided into 2. So that is now a 5-bedroom house. Inspections, when and how are they inspected? There aren't the people to do it. If you turn, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you turn up at a door and you knock and nobody answers the door, you don't get in. So there's no way that you can just say, I can go in and inspect that there's fire regulations that have been adhered to or any of those things. So yes, I think particularly on Chalkstone, Clements Estate. Actually, I think Ehrenhausen Way, and there are 3 or 4 houses along there as well. So yeah, I think we should be very observant, maybe that's the wrong word, to keep a check on those and to follow up when it's brought to our attention that there is antisocial behaviour is a big thing around social housing, because the people who are being housed in those homes often have very significant difficulties themselves, from alcohol abuse to maybe drugs and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's something we need to keep a very tight watch on. I think they should all be registered as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stitchford?
Thank you, Chair. Like so many things, this is already within the power of West Suffolk Council. Right. It's just that West Suffolk Council doesn't know what powers it has a lot of the time. They can declare with minimal, it doesn't require Act of Parliament or secondary legislation or anything, I don't think, additional licensing of the small HMOs right down to 0, right down to whatever constitutes 2 households, it could be 2 people, I suppose, at the end of the day. And then there would be people coming in, because they're doing a lot of inspections, like, they get a report, they go out and try an inspection. It turns out they're doing that out of the rates, essentially, out of council tax. There's no licensing covering it. And yet it's also held out by the relevant officer we spoke to that, well, it would be expensive to move to that system. Well, no, if you're getting 134 quid per HMO coming in, you're not going to inspect them all necessarily every year, although that might be the target, but at least you'll have some cash coming in that you can do the inspections, the highest priority ones. So I have put through, on my own behalf, on behalf of the people who are at that meeting, a fairly comprehensive suggestion to the portfolio holder that they don't listen too much to the officers and they push forward with that. Also, the officer was suggesting that the Renters' Rights Bill will somehow wave a magic wand over all this, and I don't think it will, because that only registers landlords. It does not register what they're doing as landlords. It will register the properties that they own, but say nothing about the occupation of those houses. So I hope I've tried to push things forward. It was favourably received by the portfolio holder, but that proves nothing until something changes.
Some action.
Thank you. Councillor Burns.
Councillor Stinchcombe said most of what I was going to say anyway. 8 years ago, the police, myself, the Housing Authority, your predecessors in that time, were dealing with 47 HMOs, all managed by one person on the Chalkstone estate, and all he did was eventually hand them over to somebody else. The council at the time said, oh, we can't do anything about it, and I kept going on about, well, actually you can, you just got to change the rules, you have the power to make it 0 or 1 or whatever you want to make it, and they refused to do so. We haven't got the staff to inspect them as they are now, so how will we do it for the rest of them? Like I said, that's your problem. But we have got a lot of HMOs, we had a lot of HMOs then, we have a lot of... The vast majority of people in HMOs are not a problem. It's the ones that cause problems, not only for the people in the house, but also the neighbours, which the police are often having to deal with. We've seen it with our local community policing team having to deal with it. So I'll shut up on that one. I would like to say something about SIL though, sorry, you rushed over that one bit.
Sorry, what's that?
The SIL. I just want to say thank you for your thing. Unfortunately, I fought hard during the local plan process for SIL. Officers all said, yes, we're going to do it, yeah, we're going to do it. Come the local plan, when it finally came out, they removed it all. And I was really annoyed with them about that, and I told them so in an email. So, but your report said more than I could have said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else, I'll move on to item 6, which is the reports. And we have a police report, and I believe we have a couple of police officers with us.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Inspector Ben Hollands. I'm the Locality Inspector for Haverhill. Many of you know me. I'm going to give you a quick report on terms of community policing within Haverhill as it stands at the moment. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Chief Inspector Matt Breeze. I think the Council asked some months ago about a rationale and update around the cadets review that's going on across the whole of the constabulary, and some decisions have been made about that affect us locally. So from a community policing perspective, we're coming out of a very busy summer period where we've seen a real spike in demand. That demand doesn't always necessarily correspond to an increase in crime, but just in terms of the calls for service, has been significant for us, not only locally within Haverhill, but across the whole of the constabulary. We've seen officers in Haverhill, my officers have gone down to support some national policing operations, such as the demonstrations in Essex, pro-Palestinian demonstrations in London, things like that, where there's been an increase in policing demand across the country. In terms of Haverhill, obviously we're coming out of that peak summer demand, going into the autumn, where our focus changes from antisocial behaviour and things associated with summer months, with lighter evenings, much more around inquisitive crime, where darker evenings and people can become the victim of inquisitive crime, be it theft from motor vehicles, theft from sheds and burglaries, such as like. In order to kick that operation off, we did some crime mapping within Haverhill, and we identified 123 households that we visited personally and gave individual crime advice to those people. Many of them were obviously elderly and vulnerable, and that was only done 2 weeks ago. In terms of hotspot policing, we are, since June, 1st of June, we've had dedicated hotspot funding from the government, which identified Haverhill as one of those town centres where it's going to get extra foot patrols from officers to combat knife crime and antisocial behaviour. We don't have a particular problem around knife crime, that was the overall umbrella that the government put to it. Since the 1st of June, we've seen an extra 106 hours of hotspot uniform policing. Across the constabulary, there's a number of sites within the constabulary that have got that funding. This is the second year for the funding. Haverhill wasn't identified in the first year, it has been identified in the second year. I think there's been a 26% drop in neighbourhood crime in those areas that have had hotspot funding, and since June that's resulted in 262 less crimes being reported, which is really, really positive. That funding is in place throughout the rest of this financial year, and obviously we're up for review then after that. But it's been a really positive impact both on activities at hotspot and that has happened within Haverhill. In terms of priorities going forward, obviously I set my priorities every 10 days and I review them. Often some of the generic priorities don't change. So for example, one of our community policing priorities, there's no surprises around the impact of drugs. Drugs on dealing on the community around antisocial behaviour, but equally on protecting those vulnerable people within our communities. Identifying them, making sure we're giving them support. We need to empower them to when you've got cuckooing and people who are vulnerable being abused, then we'll take action to prevent them continuing to be perpetrated by that level of crime. Second priority is a commission operation that we've got, which is around the street drinkers within the town centre. It was really positive that I think last week a number of yourselves, councillors, along with representatives of West Suffolk Council, we sat around at Haverhill Police Station, had a really positive meeting to understand what that looked like and how we can solve that. There are a number of issues around that, and it will have to be a community response in terms of how we solve that long term. The police are continuing to do the enforcement areas, but that, as we all identified, it's not something that you can arrest your way out of, as are many of the problems we've got. But I thought it was a really positive meeting, came around some really key actions around supporting the community, potential for drop-in centres, satellite for support agencies to come in. We've commissioned a design out crime report that was specifically targeting around the antisocial behaviour and the street drinking. That's now been shared wider with the Town Council, and we're linking with Colin and his representatives looking to do the improvements within the town centre itself, so that we are having a joined up approach around how we do that. That report will land, I'm hoping, shortly, and then we'll share that with everybody for a joint process to see what recommendations they suggest and actually what we think is appropriate, because whilst it is a report designed to reduce crime, that doesn't necessarily mean it is right for the community. And then the final piece of work we've got going on at the moment, and one of our priorities is the bane of my life, which is e-scooters and e-bikes, and that will continue to work proactively around that.
We have had some success in Long-Melford where we've seized 2 stolen e-bikes that were being used in antisocial behaviour in Sudbury. I appreciate that's in Sudbury, but we're trying to replicate that as much in Haverhill. There is an operation that was recently run in Ipswich which targeted the food delivery companies, you know, these people that hang around outside McDonald's or whatever it might be, to then their illegal use of the e-scooters. Now that we don't necessarily have a problem with that in Haverhill, but we're trying to use aspects of that operation to then bespoke it to what our community needs are. And the final piece of good news is that I think is that we are we are in the process of recruiting a new PCSO for Haverhill as well. So that process is ongoing at the moment. It's a national package that we have to recruit through. I think the application process is now closed and those applications sit through the College of Policing. That will then come back to us to disseminate and we'll look to recruit somebody hopefully in the next 3 months. Are there any questions?
Not for you, Ben.
Councillor Mason.
Firstly, thank you for that, and thank you for hosting the meeting at the police station. Councillor Brown and myself and Councillor Marks and Colin attended. It was really insightful. I'd just like to pass on my thanks for the work that your team are doing. The community police officers, I do think they're doing a great job. Very positive. I am concerned. I did do something in the paper recently, quite public, about the frustration that some residents are feeling about feeling safe on the high street and the danger that e-bikes and e-scooters are causing. Just the other day, my wife was driving down Ratting Road and they were doing about 40 miles an hour, all dressed in black, with face scarves, all black, nothing high vis, and a car could easily have wiped them out. And they were doing at least 40 miles an hour down Ratting Road. And so whatever work you can do on that, I know it's a community concern and we definitely appreciate some progress. Thank you.
I would just like to say, I understand that Inspector Holland is going to be moving on, so we'd just like to offer our thanks for your service.
You beat me to it, but I was going to thank you for your help and support. It's very kind.
So, yeah.
So you're now
Yes.
taken?
Pardon?
Just one. No, who's taken it?
Matt Payne is coming, is he? I know Matt, yeah.
So, yeah, thank you very much indeed for your hard work.
Thank you. Be reassured that I'm going to have a handover period with him, so I'll make sure that he has all the right community contacts that he needs.
You getting 3 pips?
No, just side local will be great. Well, I'll hand over now to somebody who has got 3 pips.
No, just wondered, yeah.
We'll promote him soon, don't worry. So good evening, my name's Matt Breeze. I'm the Chief Inspector in something called the Hub, which is a made-up name for community safety, which you might know by. One of my responsibilities is citizens and policing, and under that becomes things like specials and the cadets, as well as a few other things. Actually, Ben referred to, I look after hotspot as well, I look after crime prevention. So at the start of the year, I was asked to do a review into the cadet scheme within Suffolk. Essentially, that's because I set the cadet scheme up 15 years ago, so I think it was a bit of it's your job, and I was asked to look at it. There was no real agenda to that to give you a bit of reassurance, apart from 2 areas. One, to make sure that we safeguarded the young people that were working with us, which I'm sure we will probably agree is a primary concern. And the other one was to show a level of consistency across the county in terms of how the scheme was delivered. And to give you a flavour to that, we've got some units, or we did have some units, which were delivered entirely in voluntary time. So police officers did their day job and then went on and delivered the cadet scheme. We had others that maybe did sort of a 50-50, so if they were on duty, they'd do it in duty time. If a weekday session occurred on their off time, they'd come deliver it in their own time. And then the third model was where it was entirely delivered on duty time. So I did a review, there was 8 units at the time, and essentially it did reflect that level of inconsistency. That we were having this different mismatch of leader models essentially. And so the steer that I got was essentially we want to make sure that is aligned and there's a thing there. So the model we've moved to is one where the officers give their time in their own time, so it's not carried out on duty time for the delivery of the normal weekday sessions. If the officers, if the cadets are supporting the officers, say, in their day role, as in, say, it's a fete or a fair or a particular community activity, then the officers can deliver that in job time. but the week sessions are done elsewhere. And that replicates the fact that we've got a lot of officers that volunteer their time in other areas. They're scout leaders or they're governors or they're various other volunteers. So it was a part of a parity around that. The safeguarding aspect then comes into as well. So in order for us to make sure that we keep our young people safe and our leaders safe, we need to make sure there's at least 2 leaders at every session. And that goes up to, once you hit 20, you need to have another one, and it escalates on that. And it changes whether we're in a building or whether we're outside as well. If we're outside, it goes down to a ratio of 1:8, again, just to keep everybody safe. So using those sort of 2 principles as a guidance, I looked at all the units, and unfortunately the Forest Heath unit, which is based in Newmarket, and the Haverhill unit weren't able to produce that level of leaders under that model. So the leaders here, very dedicated, I know both of them fairly well through Cadet World, were performing their duty, were doing their cadet role on duty, and weren't doing it in their own time. And there was no other leaders, if you like. As you pointed out earlier, volunteering has become somewhat difficult post pandemic, which meant we couldn't get those leaders to come in order to ensure the safeguarding primarily. We did some internal recruitment, we did some external recruitment, some of that was backed by the national cadet team, and again we weren't able to get those level of leaders that we needed. So the difficult decision was made by the Deputy Chief that the Haverhill unit would at the time, it had 8 cadets. So that's the number we're talking that have sadly been affected. 2 of those were leaving any case. I think it was a choice around different schools. I think one's gone to Cambridge. Is that an option for Haverhill students? Have I made that up? Cambridge is a possibility? Okay, good. I sat down earlier and thought, just to check that. So that left 3 of the current cadets, if you like, are going to go to, 2 are going to go to Berry's unit, and 1 is going to go to Sudbury, and the other one is just deciding how her start of her 6th form pans out for her, about whether she's willing to do it. So it has affected clearly 8 cadets. 3 we've managed to rehome, for want of a better word, and 1's deciding, so that leaves the other 4 that have sadly been affected. But the decision is primarily around that safeguarding issue and to ensure consistency across the council.
Thanks very much. Councillor?
Matt, thank you. You know my views on this. I did see Rachel Kearton, the Chief Constable and PCC on Thursday. Unfortunately, as soon as they walked in the hotel room, they were got on by residents asking about local stuff in Lowestoft, so I didn't actually get a chance to talk to them. I was disappointed because I knew of 3 12-year-olds who were really looking forward to joining them, and they can't do now because they can't go to Bury by themselves. And certainly not Sudbury, there's no bus to Sudbury, so they can't get there. I think it reflects also on the fact that Haverhill has got a massive low level of officers compared to elsewhere in the county. And you only have to look at, the makeup of CPTs, for example, in Bury compared to here is extremely low. So that's why it's natural you haven't got people. I was going to speak to Rob Jones if I saw him. Unfortunately, I never saw him. Yeah, I think it's the wrong way to go about it for this town. We're the 4th largest town in Suffolk, and we've just been kicking all our young people in the teeth by saying you can't do this anymore, you have to go to Bury. And people don't want to go to Bury. After 6:30 there are no bus services to Bury, so how do they get to Bury? I can tell you how do they get back, even if they do go before 6:30. That sort of thing should be thought about. Yes, I understand what you're saying about the whether volunteers paid or not paid, or half paid if you like. I mean, the worst thing that happened was the fire brigade pulled out, and I thought that was a disgusting move by the fire brigade as well over that. I know Tim Passmore was not very happy at all. Obviously we can't go back, but I just think it's another kick in the teeth for the young people in a little town, or in theory a little town that's in the southwest of Suffolk compared to all the other places. Sudbury's a downside smaller than us, and why should they necessarily get people? As I say, you can't get to any of these places, so they're going to have to be driven by the parents, I guess, which is hardly sustainable. Thank you. Anyway, thanks for your time, I appreciate it.
Councillor Smith?
I appreciate you said it's a safeguarding issue, but what I heard was Cheryl worked in her duty time rather than her free time, and that sounds like it's more of a financial decision than anything else.
No, it's not. I mean, essentially, if Cheryl was the only, we'll name her because you just named her, but if Cheryl was the only person, well, she can't run a session on her own because it's not safe.
Yeah, it's a fantastic resource for youngsters in the town, so really disappointed obviously that we've lost it, but as Councillor Burns-John said, you know, once Suffolk Fire and Rescue decided to pull out, it fatally undermined, you know, because they put a lot of effort in at the beginning. It's just a shame that, you know, you got this, you know, I can remember that, you know, I went along to the first, you know, meeting up at the football club, first form, and thought, what a fantastic, you know, thing. All these youngsters are so keen, all, you know, so were the officers that run it, and it just seems, you know, the wheels have fallen off somewhere along the line. And, you know, I appreciate it, it's around budgets and, you know, one thing and another, but it's just such a shame that, you really got youngsters on board at an early age. So if you can in the future do something, it would be much appreciated.
It's not a no to Haverhill. It certainly is in the short term. I don't want to give anybody any false hope around it. You know, we will continue to look to recruit volunteers, both internally and externally. There's no two ways about that. There is an option where we have got some volunteers who are going to the Berry unit, who we could say, actually, you're more Haverhill way. Once they're established, they're confident in the role, we've sorted out the safeguarding issues and checks and all that kind of stuff, everybody's happy, the option comes back. But I mean, I'm not going to, it is not short term, because I need to have that longevity and a bit of stability. It's not fair on the kids otherwise. No, exactly. You know, if you set a thing and actually in a year's time that leader moves on, we need to have a level of sustainability in order to make it there. And all the reasons why you say cadets is great is exactly the reason why I set it up, and I'm still involved in it. So I 100% get it. But yeah, so it's certainly not a no. Haverhill is not off our radar. Here in another town, looks a bit like Ian Simpson, is very much on our radar as places that we need to consider in the future. But we need to make sure it's sustainable.
Yeah, thanks for coming over to the Lions Den.
You're nicer than Ipswich Council, so you've got some improvement to do.
Anyone else got any questions? Thank you very
much.
No,
thank you.
Much appreciated. Okay then. Again, do feel free to stay or leave as you see fit. Okay, item 6B is the ambulance report. I don't think we have anything, but I don't know, Councillor Stinchcombe, if you would like to tell us anything?
I'd like to just say about the police report, I felt bad that we kept them hanging around for so long. I wondered, Colin, if we could arrange whenever, because they're the only folk who actually physically turn up, aren't they, you know, out of ambulance and police. And we don't get the police very often, but when they are scheduled, could we bump them up the agenda, or, you know, as written?
Reading times in, it's very difficult to know how long councils are going to talk or something.
Yes, ambulance. The good news is because Colin pestered the trust, we have now the Cambridge city data that I always had to do a freedom of information request for is now published. So it's much easier to, they're not happy about comparing us with Cambridge because that's out of the question, isn't it? We're not comfortable. But we can kind of continue to contrast ourselves, how badly off we are compared with them. The last couple of
democracy, and any savings they're made financially, they're not going to go to the residents of Suffolk, they're going to go to the government. So, it's a brilliant shame.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Hannon?
Yeah, I fully agree with what Councillor Brown's just said. It's going to, you know, the West, it's the 5 district councils and 1 borough in the whole of Suffolk have all agreed to have 3 unitaries. It's Suffolk County Council, that all agreed to have one unitary. I disagree with the last speaker who spoke about the HMOs, because having one local is much better, and I entirely agree with Councillor Brown. You know that even 3 is going to be, but HMOs in one is going to be absolutely unbelievable. But as I say, the 3 unitaries, if they've gone, the Borough Council and the
Councillor Hanlon, we don't want to have a debate about
I'll finish, I'm
now, so
finishing
can
now.
you just wrap up on
Yeah,
this thing, and then we're
I
not
heard
going to
someone
get into
speaking.
this.
No, I think that's a bit rude, speaking while I'm speaking, but anyway. But yeah, I'm just finishing. But as I say, the 3 is much better because it's more local than what the 1 is. And I'll finish there.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. We're not going to get into a debate about this now. I think we're all agreed that Councillor Mason, perhaps you can come back by email if you want to share something with all the councillors. I don't.
No, I'm going to speak, and all I'm going to say is I'm going to sit on my hands. But I don't like the fact that we've got people promoting one side, and I'm not going to have the opportunity, and I won't. Other than the fact that I think that was a little bit out of order, that those speeches were allowed to happen without there being balance. There should always be balance in our discussions.
Councillor Mason, I believe Councillor Hannon was coming back to something that had been said previously, and I've heard from a lot of people we cannot get into this right now, so it could go on forever. You could say something and then someone else.
I'm not going to. What I'm saying is, I think that was unfortunate. What happened has happened, and restricting me.
We're going to move on to Town Councillors' matters to report. We had a report from Councillor Burns. Did you have anything to add to your report?
No, I think I've said everything.
Has everybody seen it all and nobody else has anything to add? I would just like to add one thing, which is about the Salk Awards, just very briefly, which John very wonderfully attended on our behalf, and just to say congratulations to Colin for winning Clerk of the Year, and the Town Council for winning Council of the Year. So congratulations to everybody. Okay, and now we move on to members of the public. Do we have any of the members of the public who would like to make any statements or ask any questions at this time?
Just one question from allowed around the ambulance report. So obviously it's right to have just scrutiny of ambulance response times. I just wondered if the Town Council could do anything to promote the use of good SAM in the town. Obviously, if you go to the app right now, you'll see a lot of people around you on Good Sam. I have been to 58 responses in the years I've had it, and I can't say how long that's been. I've got a defibrillator in my car. So there are good responses out there. And I just wonder, as a collective, if you could help to promote that in the community to get some good traction behind it. Particularly because East England Ambulance Service have just invested in a critical care help desk. They now have, I think it's called Good Sam Pro, where they can send you a text link and you can video call them in a cardiac arrest, which I know it sounds quite strange potentially, but if you've seen the news reports, it can be quite reassuring in that situation, particularly when you're kind of with a loved one not knowing what to do. So that was my kind of plea within that. I just wanted to acknowledge as well within the police obviously are, I know it's not officially under co-response, so again I don't know if those statistics are reported, but just as a nod to the police, who I've seen at many cardiac arrests as a good SAM responder, particularly when there's a young child first caller. I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Okay, so is your suggestion for us to sort of encourage the public to get involved?
If that's possible within your means and social media networks as well, particularly with the amount of ADs that we have in the community as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nobody else? Excellent. Okay, we move on to item 7, which is the Mayor's report. Sadly, the Mayor has not been very well recently and hasn't managed to get a report to us this time. I only have a couple of bits as Deputy Mayor that I have been to since the last meeting. On Saturday I went to the Haverhill Silver Band played at Saffron Hall in Saffron Walden, which is a beautiful venue. They were absolutely amazing. It was a great event. It was really well attended. Saw lots of familiar faces there from the town. And yeah, and they did an absolutely fantastic job, and it was great, and everybody had a lovely time, so that was wonderful. And then the other thing I did this month, which was a real highlight for me, was I was invited to the Carolan Cultural Association of Haverhill's Onam Festival celebration, which is a massive. It's a celebration that comes from from Hinduism, from a story from Hinduism, but it's a sort of, the whole area celebrates it a bit like we do with Christmas here. It's not just one religion. The people from every religion in Kerala all celebrate this festival, and it's very colourful, lots of music and dance and flowers and incredible food, and it was just really amazing. Best meal I've had in years, and they were very welcoming, very kind, very lovely, and it was just really wonderful to see kind of that, to have that cultural experience in Haverhill, and I hope we will get to do more with them in the future because it was fantastic. That's all I have to report. So on to item 8, which is the One Haverhill Partnership. A report from the clerk, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the engagement event for LGR took place at St Mary's Church 29th of July. The social media didn't seem to work very well. We're not entirely sure quite why, but there were about 40-45 people there, and I think for 98% of the evening it all went fairly smoothly. A bit of a sour note just at the end, but generally speaking, I think it was useful. And just to say on that, when the government starts its consultation, there will be an agenda item for this council to debate a response we wish to send to the government. So that there will be the opportunity for you to have your voice. And I think that's likely, depending on timetable, to be November.
Thank you.
Just to say the video's online if you want to watch the LGR event again.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then 8B, we have a board meeting report.
Board meeting comes up on the 16th of October, so next week.
Okay, fine, excellent. And then we have the Wellbeing Hub.
Is in closed session.
Which is in closed session, thank you, yes, I knew that. Okay, so nothing else on that then. So we'll move on to item 9, financial matters. So we have the payment list taken, we have a proposer for that, Councillor Burns, and a seconder, Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour? Okay, and then we've already done item 10, but item 11 is the grant application to consider a grant of £3,000 towards the funding of the extension of the work of a volunteer recruitment coordinator to Haverhill. So has everybody had a chance to have a look at that, and does anybody have any questions or any comments that they would like to make?
No comments. I think the presentation from Vicky is still there somewhere. Yeah, it's fine by me. I'll propose it.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Brown?
Just a quick question. How much that leaves in the pot?
Offhand, I couldn't tell you, but we know that last time round, councillors didn't agree some of the other payments that would have taken us over. Yeah. So it's within bounds.
Right. Yeah. That's why
I did look at it.
Second. Yeah. Okay, so we have a seconder from Councillor Brown. Anyone else have anything else they want to add? No? Okay, fantastic. Then we'll go to a vote. All those in favour? Okay, now on to item 12, which is about the tree sculpture outside Clements Primary School, where I think we have Councillor Sarah there to speak on that, I believe.
I'm allowed to. Thank you, Chair. Children at Clements Primary School were involved in designing a sculpture on the little roundabout in front of the school, and they decided to have, please, a tree done with sort of birds sitting on it. And we found a sculpture artist who is called Spatch, and he has done some sculptures over Suffolk. He does it with iron, and the tree will be sort of 3D locked into each other on the roundabout. And it will be a beautiful piece of art. roughly looking like that, a little bit more pretty, but
It's a bit scary.
well, it is, you know, it's a start. And so far, lots of hurdles have been sort of ticked off. We've gone through lots of hoops, and it's all done. I think you, as a town council, are one of the last hurdles to take, as far as I understand. So I would like you all to agree to have another piece of art for Haverhill, because we all know that art enhances the area. It will decrease antisocial behavior because it will be a sort of a focal point. It will, for children, increase the pride of the area because they designed as well. Yeah, that's it. Please do agree having this sculpture up on the little roundabout. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on that? Councillor Simpson?
I have a bit of a problem that I don't see that this is funded yet, and we're being invited to take ownership of something that is not funded. And then
The funding is done. It's my locality budget, and we have more funding for the community budget. Funding is tipped off. Funding is
wasn't in
sorted.
your report. There was nothing in the report.
It was in my report. Apologies if it wasn't.
Okay. So does that answer that question? So it is funded?
If it is fully funded, we don't end up as the moral funder of last resort. Whereas if it's, you know, sketchily funded, we could end up owning something, or the prospect of owning something, and no one else wants to fund it, and we have to shell out, which I wouldn't be happy.
It is fully funded.
It is fully funded. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, all it was it sounds like a terrific project, I like it, but just to make sure that, I presume it's Suffolk Highways looks after the vegetation on there. They can be a little bit lax in keeping control of stuff, so I'd like...
West Suffolk.
It's West Suffolk, is it? Well, generally they're a little bit lax. Yeah, could we make sure that we've got something in there to say that it will be maintained? Or?
Well, I don't know whether we can hold the County Council or West Suffolk to that. It will need a concrete foundation, so there won't be any vegetation directly adjacent to it, and we'll have to clear a lot of the vegetation in order for it to be installed in any case.
All that worries me with these things, and it's a fantastic idea, it's just that, you know, if the vegetation gets mocked, it's always ruined it, so...
No, because the vegetation, if at all, will go around the tree, which will make the tree actually green.
Yeah.
And because it's 3D, it's, I know the picture is unfortunate, but it will look very pretty. And yes, it is with highways and with district, it is tricky who has which responsibilities with regard to the plants or the brickwork. I know, it is quite tricky, but the sculpture won't be affected by that.
Yeah.
Great.
Councillor Crooks?
Yeah, can I propose that we adopt this project and apply for planning permission? I think it's absolutely great. I've done an idea, and the children will love to see it come into fruition.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because they designed it.
I've got you next to speak. I'm looking for a second.
Yeah, well, very happy to second. This is obviously in our ward, so glad to see anything that would enhance the. It's not the prettiest of roundabouts, I must admit. I was a bit concerned about. Did you say the whole bit is going to be concreted over, or there's still going to be some vegetation?
No, that is the foundations. So obviously, where the foundations are, it'll be more difficult to plant stuff up. But no, there'll be planting there again. We'll try not to destroy what's already there for what it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite an idea.
Yeah.
All right, does anyone else have any comments or questions? Councillor Burns?
I just want to know, I'm a bit confused about what's the liability for the town council in money and labour cost?
None.
So we're not paying anything?
No, well, I don't know whether the intention is that actually you will pass the money to us and we will actually pay the
Well, whoever, but I'm talking about the net liability.
The net liability is zero, so as we've heard from Councillor Sarah.
I was confused by
So that funding includes the time cost to the staff of the council?
Well, we won't be installing it.
No, but I mean to arrange it or whatever.
But it's,
Minimal.
I wasn't intending charging for the time it would take us. We're not talking about a particularly onerous piece of work.
Councillor Lisbon.
Would that include any insurances that we would need?
Well, I was quite surprised by our insurers because I thought that they would potentially object to the idea, but they said no, you're already insured. If it's only liability insurance, you've already got liability insurance. There's no extra charge.
Councillor Green.
I'm not sure if it's been asked already, but do highways have to inspect this sculpture?
Highways are given approval for it already.
Oh, okay. Only because obviously what we've had with like Samuel Ward in the past, without the head not being allowed.
No, they gave their licence in literally return post.
Cool.
Okay, so we've had a proposer and a seconder, and can we see all those in favour? Excellent, thank you. Okay, on to item 13. Are we still right? Yeah, we're still fine. Okay, so adoption of committee reports. We have the planning committee and the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of September and the 22nd of September. And do we have a proposer? Councillor Hannon.
Yes, both.
Seconder? Councillor Martin. All those in favour? Okay, and then we don't have the next two, so that will be deferred until the following meeting. So then we move on to the date of the next meeting, which is Monday the 27th of October 2025, so please put that into your calendars. And now we move on to the exclusion of the press and the public. This is to resolve that under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, public and representatives of the press and broadcast media be excluded from the meeting during the consideration of the following items of business, as publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, third-party contracts. Do we have a proposer? Councillor David Smith. Seconder, Pat Hannion. All those in favour? Okay.